Hello and welcome back to another Stormrite Devlog. Yes, I know it's been a while since the last one, and yes, I have had more time on my hands due to a certain global pandemic, but here we are. I've added a lot of new features since the last one, and I'll try to go over them all in this video, but if I miss any, you can probably find them somewhere on my Twitter or Instagram. If you haven't already, you can follow the development process on my socials here. Before I get into the content, I just want to say the support on social media and YouTube has been amazing, and it's really helping me stick with this project because, as you may know, I have a minor problem not finishing projects. Without any further ado, this is what I've been working on for the past 2 months on Stormrite. One of the main features I've been working on is the start of an inventory system. In the last devlog, weapon switching was instant, and there was no indication of what your character was carrying. I started by adding some weapon switching animation montages, with animation notifiers telling the character blueprint when to attach and detach the weapons from the character's back or hands. To avoid visual glitches such as snapping, upon attachment of the weapon I keep its world rotation and location the same, and to get the weapon into the right position on the back or hands, it's slowly interpolated to the right position, which is predetermined in the code. This is all done in C++ to reduce the processing strain. And this is the result. And here's some slow motion so you can see the interpolation in action. This was the basic setup that allowed me to switch the bow and torch in or out, but there's more to the weapon system which I'll get into later. I also created a provisional inventory UI, but I'm probably going to change it, as looking at it a few times, it may look quite similar to the Skyrim UI. After all, the last thing I want is comments saying Skyrim clone, Skyrim clone, Skyrim clone. The next major change was the sound effects. Sound-wise, the game was dull before, and oh my, the footsteps were horrible. I swiftly dispatched of those and replaced them with some half decent ones instead. The new footsteps are based on player speed, action, and the surface beneath the player's feet. I do this with a simple line trace from the pelvis downwards, which returns the physics material from the hit result. And just quickly, before I continue, all the sound effects I used were from the Medieval Combat Sound Effects pack. If you're making a medieval game, I cannot recommend this pack enough. For the content you get, which is about over 1,000 sounds, the price is pretty good. The links to all the assets referenced in this video will be in the description. The weapons needed sound effects, and as another, more experienced game developer, Tim Roswick, said,
"It just seems too like, it doesn't be like, that feels flat."
So I added the boom boom along with some other sound effects to give the bow more life and presence. One thing I missed out is a bit of screen shake, which would help portray the release of the tension in the bow, so I'll add that for the next devlog. On top of all of that, there were a few more sound effects that I added, namely arrow hit sound effects based on the surface being hit, and a shuffling sound when the character grabs a weapon off their back. To test the extendability of the weapon swap system, I decided to add more of the weapon types I plan on having in the final game. This was quite easy with the system I had set up. I just created subclasses of the equipment class I set up for each different weapon type, then extended the attached positions list to include the new weapon types. I got the animations for the new weapon types from Mixamo, and it was done. The weapons are free placeholders that will get replaced in the future. I added the respective sound effects because I realised it's easier to do the sound effects as you go along, and it provides for some better previews. The crosshair looked a bit too cartoony before. It looked like it would fit better in, say, TF2, so I spent a little bit of time coming up with a new archery crosshair. This was the result, and it goes away when you're not aiming and turns into the default diamond crosshair. The arrowheads drift further apart when doing certain actions to indicate a loss of shot accuracy, just like the old crosshair's radius would increase. I needed a place to test the game mechanics in low light levels and close quarters, so what better than to make an underground dungeon level? I used the assets from this free marketplace pack, plus other stuff I had lying around. Here's a short section of the dungeon tour, but you can see the full tour and a complete time lapse of me building this dungeon from start to finish, with some nice beats in the background, on my channel. You can click the card in the top right to get there. replaced the placeholder bow model with a new one. I needed the new model to use the same skeleton as the old bow, so I got a free recurve bow model and rigged it to the old skeleton, along with a new quiver as well. Here it is. I uploaded a trick shot compilation to my channel using the new bow. Here's a few clips from it. AI reactions to getting hit needed some improvements, so I tightened up the limbs while falling and dying because enemies were a bit too floppy before, and now enemies also draw their weapons and go into a combat stance when hit. AI will be getting a lot of attention before the next devlog. They'll actually be able to fight back. There was a lot of bug fixing to do since the last devlog, especially this one. Stepping away from the technical side of things, I've been writing up some lore for the game to contribute to the storytelling aspect of a single player RPG experience. I've written up a couple of sections of it which you can find in the lore channel on the Discord, and I plan on releasing the lore using a wiki on fandom.com in the future. Before I wrap up the video, I'll answer questions that I've been asked multiple times in different places. What consoles will this come out on? Definitely PC, and whichever major consoles are popular at the time of release, most likely Microsoft and Sony's next installment of the Xbox and PlayStation respectively. Will this be multiplayer?
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
No. I started developing this as a single player game. It would be quite hard to make everything that I have compatible for multiplayer, and I also want to focus on the story aspect of the game, which I feel gets lost when you're playing online with mates. Also, the server cost is ridiculous. How many people are working on this? Just the one, me. In future, I'll probably work with others on the project. If you're interested in possibly working on this with me, then message me on Twitter or Insta. Will there be magic? Yes, but not as you may know it in other games with a simple mana bar and spells. There's more to come on that in future devlogs. And that's pretty much all that's changed in the last couple of months for Stormrite. A lot of my time has been taken up converting my blueprints to C++, but now that's been set up, I can focus on adding more features to the game. Thanks for watching the whole video, and I hope you were entertained or learned something new from it. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you could take a look at my Patreon page. The development costs are starting to increase, and any tier of subscription on Patreon helps me out a lot. You'll also gain benefits like early releases, credits at the end of the video, and even an NPC named after you. All the Stormrite related socials are on the screen. Thank you for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more Stormrite content. Cheers.